the challenge that I'm going to be talking through today is one that I had a lot earlier in my business career. Now, at the time, I was a physiotherapist, still am a physiotherapist actually, but I was a physiotherapist and I really struggled with working on the business. And when I went to work on the business, I felt incredibly unsuccessful, I felt incredibly unmotivated, and I felt like I was just procrastinating all the time and nothing ever really got done. And I wondered, maybe this stuff's not for me. Maybe I'm just not good at it. Maybe I'm naturally just better at being a physio. And it really wasn't until I made this key distinction, which I'm going to talk through in a moment, that I was able to actually turn that around and really achieve the business of my dreams. Okay? Now, what this was for me, and what I think it was to start with, is comfort zone. So I had this comfort zone here, and when I was in my comfort zone, I was incredibly good at whatever I was doing, okay? But I had to try and make this comfort zone bigger because at the moment, this comfort zone was this small circle here, but just outside of here was working on the business tasks, and I wasn't comfortable doing that. And so what I found is that when I was seeing physio clients, everything was so simple. And the reason it was simple is because that was what I was comfortable doing. But there was another key distinction that I was missing at that time. And that key distinction was there was a set time to be doing a set task. And in that set time, nothing could be done but that set task. So imagine this, all right? You're seeing a client, and when you're with that client, you're 100% with them. And as a healthcare professional, I know that you know what this feels like. You're 100% with this person who's in front of you. And you're not going to check your phone. You're definitely not checking Instagram or Facebook. You're not just going to go and get a coffee or do something else just stretch your legs for a minute, you know? You're going to be with that person, giving them the time and respect they deserve. And no doubt, when you're with clients, you get a fantastic result. I always found I would get a fantastic result with the clients when I was working with them like that. But how come when I was working on the business stuff slightly outside my comfort zone, I wasn't getting the same fantastic results? And when I think back and when we reflected on this, the key thing that changed for me was treating my time to work on the business with the same respect as I would treat a patient. And the second I put it like this, the second I framed it this way for myself, everything changed. Everything changed for me and the people I was working with, but also the tasks getting done. So imagine this for a second. Rather than sitting down and going, all right, now I'm going to do a weekly email. I'm going to get an email sent out to the database this week. Now, what would have happened prior is I would have gone, sit down, open up the computer, and I could use a coffee. So I'd go and grab a coffee and I'd come back and then I'd be like, oh, I better check Slack and I'll check my emails too. Oh, there's an email come through. I should probably respond to that one as well. And in no time, half an hour's gone by and I've got to actually jump back in with the patient now. So I didn't get anything done during that time. But I felt like I was busy. I felt like I was achieving things. And the key difference for me that I said before is I flipped that and I said, no, the reason I'm good when I'm with patients is not necessarily that I'm an amazing physio or anything like that. I was a decent physio, but I was not the best by any means. But the reason we got a great result is that we were 100% focused. I was 100% focused on the task at hand. So instead of just saying, I'm going to do this task now and it's, roughly sit down and hopefully get through this, what I did was I started creating appointments with myself in my diary. And so in my diary, let's say I was doing those emails, I would assign an amount of time to this. So I would go, well, doing these emails is going to take me 30 minutes. And so I would then take that 30-minute block and I would put it in my Google Calendar. So in my Google Calendar, it's now sitting, let's say at 2 p.m., emails, weekly emails for PhysioFit. So now I know at 2 p.m. I've got to do those and I've got to achieve those. And I've given myself half an hour because I believe that's how long the task is going to take. So when I sit down and do those now, I don't do anything else. I don't check my phone. I don't check Instagram or Facebook. I don't go and grab a coffee, whatever it may be. That is treated like I've got a patient in front of me. And I guarantee you, give this a shot, my friends. Write down your list at the start of the week, all those business tasks that you have to do. Right now, next to each of those ones, I want you to write down, it's going to take me this long, whether it be 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 4 hours, whatever. And you can break them up into smaller chunks too. And then I want you to take those tasks and I want you to put them in your Google Calendar or whatever calendar you're using. I'd like you to put those in the calendar and make sure that it actually fits. Because sometimes you're going to do this task and when you go through, you go, actually, I can't fit all these things in, which is fantastic because you can see and you can go, all right, well, cool. I can put some of those into next week, and you can understand that. You can understand the limits of your time, what you can get done. And the next step is when you're in those time blocks, you treat them like you have a patient in front of you. You give it the same respect, you give yourself the same respect, your time the same respect that you would give a patient. And when you do that, my friends, I guarantee you, you will see a massive shift. You'll see an absolute massive shift in what you get done. And lastly, a lot of people, when I first bring this up to them, they go, oh, I don't like having that much structure in my diary. It feels like a prison, right? The reason I became a business owner is I wanted to have freedom and I wanted to have control over my time. But having structure and having time blocks and having it built into your diary is what gives you freedom. Because I don't know if you've ever felt like this before, but let's say you've got 10 things to do. 10, I put 5 up. Let's say you've got 10 things to do and they're in your mind and you haven't written them down, you haven't blocked them into your diary. They just keep running through my mind anyway. I would always keep running through my mind and I wouldn't be able to be present in whatever I was doing. So even though I felt like I had freedom, I felt like I didn't actually have freedom looking back now because I was always trying to make sure I'm not forgetting what needs to get done or thinking about what needs to get done. The second I took these out of my head and I put them into my diary and time blocked them with the appropriate time for each one, suddenly when I looked at that, I was like, all right, well, I know that I'm doing those emails at 2 p.m. today. So I don't need to think about it until 2 p.m. because I know at 2 p.m. I've got the exact amount of time that I need to do those successfully. And the same with each and every other task. So my challenge to you, my friends, is write down in the comments, what was your key takeaway or what was most valuable for you in this video and what are you going to implement? Have a fantastic day, my friends, and we'll see you in the next video.